President Trump is being given very dangerous experimental drugs that no one has ever been given together. President Trump is in grave danger. Evidence is mounting that he's being deliberately killed at Walter Reed Military Hospital.
After the president tested positive for COVID-19, he was taken to the Walter Reed Army Medical Center and administered an experimental cocktail made up of 2 dangerous drugs. And it could be the perfect assassination. If the president were to die, the corrupt establishment could claim total victory, lock down the entire country, start going after the patriots, and destroy whatever is left of our birthright.
Evidence is mounting. The facts are overwhelming. Either the doctors at Walter Reed Medical Facility in D.C. are trying to kill President Trump, or they are the most inept idiots in the medical field that modern history has ever seen. They are giving the president 2 experimental drugs, one a synthetic nanotech antibody and the other remdesivir, and it's on record that you wouldn't give either one of these experimental drugs to someone unless they were in an emergency situation and in critical condition, unable to walk, because both of the drugs have serious side effects. Remdesivir, in 70% of cases, actually makes the infections worse and makes people get even sicker and can kill them. And with the synthetic nanotech antibody that he's taking that's totally experimental, the studies show that it actually makes infections, viral infections, worse most of the time. Let's say that again, and you can go look all this up for yourself. And investigative journalist John Rappaport, who's been one of the top guys for top national news shows as one of their top investigators, he's done an excellent, frightening 19-minute analysis that we'll link at the bottom of the description here, where he goes through all of this as well. This is incredible. He's told that he tests positive. He's got a cough, a light fever. They take him to Walter Reed Medical Hospital, and we're told that, well, he's not that sick, but we had to take him to the hospital. That's because you can't administer these experimental, dangerous drugs under law unless you have someone hospitalized and say they're in serious condition. So he's either in serious condition but can still walk, or they're lying about him being in serious condition. Medical experts are on record saying that it is immoral to even give people remdesivir unless they are very close to death. And the same thing with experimental nanotech antibodies. So, if it's bad to give someone one of these, it's hundreds of times worse to combine them together. We know the president is now a guinea pig of the military-industrial complex that is already angry at the fact that he's pulling us out of Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and trying to make peace deals with Russia, North Korea, and others. And we know that the deep state has tried to assassinate presidents before, like Ronald Reagan. And we also know they've successfully assassinated presidents before, like JFK in 1963. So we need to get this information out to other medical doctors, other scientists, and other journalists to make a really big deal about this. Or Walter Reed could literally kill the president with these experimental drugs, either on purpose or because they are absolutely, completely negligent fools. But whatever you do, research this information for yourself. We're showing you many of the articles here on screen. Again, the report from John Rappaport is at Infowars.com. The president's life is in danger, being given highly dangerous drug combinations. And then flood the White House. Flood your congressman or woman's lines, your senator's lines, your governor's lines. We have to make a big deal out of this because many times in history, presidents and leaders are assassinated with poison, and then their very doctors are the ones that administered it and carried it out. This is a big part of history. And 30 days out from the election, Trump was set to win. The deep state had been exposed in multiple coup attempts. The entire deep state is in trouble. America has won a major trade war against China. The left and their cities are collapsing, and they are desperate. And they are desperate to keep Ruth Bader Ginsburg from being replaced and so many other key issues. So get the word out, share this video, share the John Rappaport report at man.video, and pray for President Trump. Pray for President Trump and understand that he's a guinea pig, just like we are with Bill Gates and with Fauci and with Remdesivir and with all of these groups that have been ignoring every law, every regulation when it comes to COVID, skipping animal trials of vaccines, testing them on humans. And in one Bill Gates vaccine, 100% got sick, 20% went to the hospital, some died. In the other vaccines that were, quote, safer, 80% got sick, and 20% of them went to the hospital, some died. This entire COVID fiasco has ushered in a medical power grab, and all the default protections have been turned off. And all of these powerful interests want President Trump gone. They want the American people and populace punished. There are a lot of other angles as well. I predicted back in March they could poison the president and say it was COVID-19. Or they can produce weaponized forms of COVID-19 and infect the president with that as well, and then use it to legitimize their entire COVID-19 global martial law takeover. The Davos Group and others are on record saying this is a planetary reset to bring in worldwide financial collapse to consolidate control, to end prosperity. And President Trump, Bolsonaro, and others have been standing in the way of that. Again, please research this information, pray for President Trump, and share this information while you still can, because they have been suppressing scientists and doctors and others that have been exposing that much of what we've been told about COVID-19 has been a giant fraud. And in closing, the establishment needs to know that if something happens to President Trump and he dies, the individuals that violated protocols and safety procedures and default positions that protect life will be held accountable. And all over the United States, federal and state courts are ruling that these draconian lockdowns are martial law, are power grabs, and must be reversed and must be terminated. So America and the world is starting to wake up. The question is, will it be fast enough? One important addendum to this vital report. Mainline medical doctors across the United States, from Texas to New York, have testified that in day 7 to 10 of a coronavirus COVID-19 infection, there is an autoimmune response, and that's the most dangerous phase. We now know that's why people intubated during that phase tended to die, because the lungs didn't need more oxygen. They needed something to suppress the autoimmune response, like Benadryl or steroids that could be taken either orally or inhaled in the lungs or taken by pill or an injection. None of that is being said in any of the press conferences by the Walter Reed doctors that are with him. Instead, they gave him 2 experimental treatments that are both known to actually increase, in many cases, an autoimmune response. This is why we are so concerned, and everyone needs to be praying for President Trump. Even in the press conference held today by the Walter Reed doctors, they said they're monitoring him mainly for bad responses to the experimental treatments they've given the president. And they said they're just getting started with the experimental procedures on now the most famous guinea pig in history, Donald John Trump. It's more than game time. It's crunch time. The globalists have launched their attack on free humanity, on Christianity, on capitalism, on the family itself. And InfoWars is the tip of the spear and is having incredible successes. But we're bloodied and we're battered. And going into this election with only 20-something days left, we are going to launch another famous money bomb, Save America, Save the InfoWars transmission that kicks off at 8 a.m. this Wednesday on October 7th and runs through the next night at midnight. That's a 40-hour emergency live transmission with a bunch of huge guests, special guests, breaking news, and more. And it's a way to reach out to other folks and let them know the American resistance is alive and well despite big tech censorship and is fighting back. The truth is what scares big tech and the Chi-Coms. That's why they're trying to suppress us. The answer is spreading the word on your email, on your text messages, word of mouth. Join us this Wednesday, 8 a.m. Central.